All right, so I just wanted to do a little voice recording of the stuff that we're going to talk about or that we have been doing over the essay. So earlier this week we looked at theme. We did the handout with the Bildungsroman notes and the hero's journey, and we came up with themes and brainstormed themes as a class. And then we looked at coming up with an introduction paragraph. So each class came up with an introduction paragraph, and I'll just show you those real quick. This is first hour. Have you ever thought about committing suicide? They started with a question. Hannah Baker, the main character in 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher, followed through on her threat to commit suicide. Hannah gets caught in a whirlwind of vicious rumors, and they damage her reputation. She finds herself losing hope and seriously considers suicide. Can her friend Clay save her from herself? So that was their intro. Again, every thesis is going to be different. It's stating your theme. And then your evidence is going to be different because whatever quotes and whatever reasons you give for that theme will then be the end of your paragraph. So you have to finish that up. Second hours was in J. Asher's novel 13 Reasons Why. The reader walks in the shoes of Hannah Baker, a suicidal sophomore in high school. Hannah's thought of suicide should be thoughts. Hannah's thoughts of suicide are an effect of small events that combine and force her to lose hope. She creates audio tapes to explain the reasons why she commits suicide and sends them to the people who had a hand in her death. The reader follows Clay through the tapes and finds out his involvement in Hannah's life. Again, the thesis, which is going to be the theme, and then the evidence. Third hours, 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher is a novel about a girl struggling with ideas of suicide. Hannah Baker, the new girl, meets all of these new people that have the potential to make her life better. However, they each have a hand in her decision to commit suicide. Clay, one of the boys that receives the tapes she records to explain her suicide, struggles to understand why she lost hope. Again, thesis, your theme that you've chosen, and then evidence. Lastly, sixth hour. In the novel 13 Reasons Why by J. Asher, the reader learns of the 13 reasons that Hannah Baker killed herself. The story starts from the perspective of a boy named Clay who received a set of cassette tapes from Hannah naming him as one reason she committed suicide. He soon finds out that Hannah has 13 terrible experiences that lead her to lose her hope and end her life. 13 people will listen to the tapes and have their lives changed forever. Again, thesis, which is the theme that you're going to choose to write about, and then your evidence. So those are the introduction paragraphs. We worked on those on Tuesday. And then we looked at the summary body paragraphs on Wednesday and Thursday, really just Thursday. So there are three types of paragraphs that I told you about: the summary paragraph, the extended response paragraph, and the connections, or the what was the real word for that? Connected. It really was connected. And I went through the ways that you connected examples. That's the third one. I went through the ways that you could, so I have examples on here. This should be a sheet that you have. So I'll just go through each of the three types, and then you can look at the example. So in the summary body paragraph, this is really if you have an example that you're thinking about that is over a lot of information. So we talked about the party chapter being a really big chapter in Hannah's story. And so if you were going to talk about that party being kind of a cause for her to commit suicide, you might want to use a summary paragraph to kind of take a large amount of information, like the things that happened at the party, and condense it down into a few sentences in order to explain. So a summary body paragraph takes several events from across the text to support your claim. So there are four things you need. A topic sentence, and this topic sentence identifies how the character changes or deals with conflict over the course of the novel. Remember, everything ties back to your theme. okay, so or your claim. 2, you need to summarize the events. You cannot just summarize the events of a chapter and not add the page numbers, so you have to put the page range. 3, you need to connect the summary with time order transitions. So make sure when you're talking about the party, first Hannah comes to the party to meet Clay. Next, they talk on the couch. Then they move to the bedroom with the door open. Okay, so go through and make sure you use the time order transitions. And then 4, make sure that you explain how that ties back to the claim. How does that tie back to your theme? So if you look in Magi, our claim is that you give up something for love, it's a worthy sacrifice. So the topic sentence, Della decides she's made the change or dealing with conflict. So she changes by realizing that she has to sell her hair to buy a gift. Okay, then we use the time. Then finally. Okay, so then this part right here is the summary. Notice at the end, the summary's page numbers are there. I got it from pages 1 through 5. And then at the end, you tie it back to your claim. So their sacrifice shows the love and devotion they have for one another. Okay, love is a worthy sacrifice. Okay, so that's the summary paragraph. It summarizes. This is if you have a large amount of information that you want to talk about. The second one is the one that we have done in class before when we were doing the paragraphs based on the short stories. This one is probably going to look the most familiar to you. It's called the extended example body paragraph. And the extended example is when you take key events from the story to support your claim. You need 5 things with this type. 1, a topic sentence that identifies a turning point or a key part of the story for the character. Okay, make sure that it always comes back to your claim or your theme. 2, you're going to lift exact words from the text. Remember, that's where your evidence sheet comes from. That's the direct quotes that we were talking about, again with page numbers. 3, you need to be able to briefly summarize what's going on in the story or the chapter that this quote comes in. 4, then you need to explain or interpret how the line is connected to other details. How is it connected to your theme? And then 5, come back to your theme. How is that important? Okay, so the example again from Gift of the Magi, this was a short story that we read in class. The claim again, giving up something you love for the one you love is a worthy sacrifice. So again, we're going to look at Della deciding to sell her hair so that she can buy Jim a watch. And then we look at the context, what's going on before the quote. She goes and cuts her hair, she buys him the watch chain, and then she's waiting for him to come home from work so she can show him the gift that she got him. Then signal phrase you need. Okay, you cannot just drop the quote in, you have to introduce it with some sort of small phrase. Signal phrase, comma, and then the direct quote. Notice it's in quotation marks, and then the page numbers you got it from in parentheses, and then period at the very end. Okay, then you're going to explain what does this have to do with your theme. Okay, so explain why this quote's important, and then tie it back to your theme. Okay. Last one is the connected examples, and this one I think would be really good if you were talking about reputation, about how Hannah's reputation started and then kind of how it got tarnished as the story went on. So it's going to talk about what was the beginning and then connect it to an example later in the book. So this, if you see, when I go down and show you my example, there are 2 quotes that I use. You don't have to use 2, but if you have 2 that you think shows the change or how they're connected, by all means use 2. So the connected examples show several events from across the text that support the claim. The 5 things you need in this paragraph: you need a topic sentence that connects 2 or 3 events or details from the text that support the claim. Look for moments that show how the character changed or how things shifted. Okay. 2, again, you're going to use exact words, a direct quote lifted from the story, and also you need page numbers. 3, you're going to determine the relationship. For the most part, I think we're going to be using cause and effect, but both cause and effect and compare and contrast are both on here. So you need to make sure that you use the transitions. 4, again, you're going to show what's going on in the story before, in the chapter. Make sure you summarize the context about what's going on so you don't just drop the quote in and I have no idea what's going on. And then 5, interpret. How does it support the claim? Okay. So again, gift of the Magi, the claim's the same. We make the topic sentence. Della's trying to show her husband that he's valuable to her. Then we do the context. So I tell you about how she only has $1.87. She cuts her hair and gets $20 for it. And then she finds this gift and she thinks, remember again, signal phrase and then quote. This is what she thinks, page number and then period, and then explain. So she gets the money for it, and then what is the effect of her cutting her hair? We see then how Jim responds. He's shocked to see her hair because he bought her a set of hair combs to kind of pin her hair back. And so then he has to explain that he sold the watch to get money for the combs, and then we explain and interpret that each person gave up what they valued the most in order to make the other person happy. That is the sacrifice for love. Okay, so I'm going to knock that down real quick. Everything, if I go back here, everything that you're looking for from last week or from this week is in your week 16 on your this says first hour, but it's in every folder in your class. So Monday we did the hero's journey in the Bildungsroman. You'll see the notes. You can go back in. You'll see the handout that I gave you. That handout also has the introduction stuff on there. Again, you have the theme brainstorming picture that I took, and then the document. This has your hours intro that I read to you. You could do either copy. Wednesday was the collecting evidence. So if you needed that collecting evidence chart, that's there. I also did go in and if you needed help finding quotes, in here is the chapter list, what I had written on the board. So Alex's story goes from pages blah, 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 blah. And that's cassette 1, side B. These also have quotes. It's not the quotes. You're going to have to go back and look in the story, but it has page numbers, so that way you can find what you're looking for if you need some help with the quotes. Thursday has the paragraph types. So this has the paragraph types right here, what I just went over. And then Friday, I need to go back one more. Friday is the movie that we watched in case you want to watch it again. So I will post this probably under Thursday, and then you can go through and watch it and see what needs to be done. If you do have any questions, you can always shoot me an email. My email is jobrien@mpsk12.net. I think you can do it from here too. I just have to figure out how I do it. I think if I go here. So you can post, if you post updates to the class, I will get that. Again, I will be out of the country until the 2nd of January, so I will not get back to you until then. So if it is dire, make sure you write it down, and that way you can ask me when we come back to school. Everybody have a great break, and I will see you when we get back.